All right, break over. We are back. Austin and Becky are seated and ready to go, waiting for our signal, which we can give them at any time here. And Austin getting the word that he can begin. And here we go, Sam. We're in round 9. I feel like Austin at 4-4, you can never count him out. He has his slogan. Is it on his shirt? I think. I think this is a scoring never stops shirt. Oh, no, it's not. It's something else. But that is his catchphrase, and with good reason. He is relentless as a player. He knows so many words, is able to score well with them. And I feel like it goes beyond that, where he is just never, you cannot count him out no matter how he starts at a tournament.
Yeah, you have that great video about Austin's spirit as a player. That was something I feel like Wellington really showed that yesterday in his win. Like, I was so impressed with the way he came back from his deficit. It was very just clever and crafty and coming up with, options that other people would not have thought of. Certainly when you're talking about an invalid word, yeah, options that are very difficult to think of. So here it looks like Wura he's setting up is a pretty standard play. This is an interjection, so it could see a bit of a word knowledge check for both of them. It doesn't take an S, but there are related words that I think it's like a type of fish that does take an S. So this, however, this takes an H, which turns it into a fish, which is a noun. So that's something, which is also confusing because Wura can be spelled Whirra. And that's an interjection. So we've got that pair of sixes. So if someone tries an H or an S, that'll be interesting to see if that comes up.
Yes. So to translate, so Sam is spot on with everything he said. And now, wow, look at that draw for Austin. He has aquifers through the R. He's going to bingo amazingly with the Q and an F, unless Becky finds a way to block it. And it seems like Wazoo is going to come down unless she pivots away from that. Actually, her initial play, Sam, of Uzo would get the job done for her. So if she goes back to that, she had it set up on her rack. She can't possibly know that she has to block the R's. That is totally biased in, like in the booth omniscience thinking, but she would be able to escape her fate of getting bingoed on. And she might achieve that anyway with her play of Zooey here, which scores very, very well, 37 points. Can't really fault this play either.
Yeah, this is a nice play. I mean, this probably, this or Uzo, probably better than Wazoo. I think especially Uzo. I really like Uzo to get rid of. I mean, it does set up a big scoring spot, but you get rid of the two O's and the U. So that would have been nice. She hasn't hit her clock yet. I don't know what, maybe she's just reconsidering, and now she's pressed her clock, so ending her turn. And yes, aquifer in the Collins lexicon can be spelled in this, to me, bizarre manner of AQUAFER rather than usually I believe it's AQUIFER. But in any chance, Austin, he could still play it. Actually, it's aquifer keeping ES is might not be a bad play. In fact, might be his best play. Otherwise, he could consider maybe holding on to the QU. It doesn't look like there's anywhere good for just like qua or aqua.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if not aquifer, then what? If you're Austin, he clearly sees it and he had his hopes dashed to be able to bingo with it. But there doesn't really feel like there's another good way to use the Q here. So if you're not going to play aquifer, which looks like a very good play here, would you just play FE or something and try to draw into a bigger play here, which doesn't really feel that realistic? I really feel like just going ahead, and I guess you could play, I don't know. I mean, is it worth playing like FA right here, leaving a very balanced leave with the QU and the S as well as an E? That could be on the table. He goes ahead and plays aquifer. I really don't have a huge quibble with this one, Sam.
Yeah, I mean the engine does seem to have a slight preference for that fa option, which sometimes I think you might have commented on this previously. We see the Q, we want to get rid of the Q, but once you have that U to go with the Q, it can become quite powerful, especially if you have other good tiles. So fa would have kept the board really tight for Becky, and it would have kept that AQUES, which could have done, he could have easily either hit a bingo or another high scoring play. So in any case, not about, it's certainly a fine play. It's, if any, at most a slight inaccuracy or a stylistic decision. And Becky is, well, I'm not sure what she's looking at here. She could play Daring for a double double, which would be 36 points. It keeps the U, which is unfortunate. But she has grind set up. I don't know where. I don't know. Is she trying to play through the owl or something? I don't know what she's looking at. Oh, she has Daring. I didn't notice that. That's much better, of course. DAURING, also a double double, which gets rid of the U. So that would be a better play than Daring with two R's. And I guess she's gonna play
Grind
grind
there.
right
Yeah.
there, which is a good play.
Yeah, so the two plays that Sam pointing out, not the most obvious. DAURING seems to be the standout play here by a fair margin, but that is not the easiest play to feel super confident of the validity. You might know DAUR as a four-letter word, but unless you are Josh Castellano memorizing the definitions of those words, remembering that you can inflect it with ing is not a slam dunk. So this play is much more quote unquote human, natural play. All the words involved are either two-letter words or a normal word. So yeah, we probably want to see dowering there, but it's very reasonable to pass that up in favor of something more sure. And in fact, as some folks are pointing out in the chat, this does achieve the objective of blocking the A of Aquifer, and Austin has to be feeling a little bit snake bitten here because he had this massive bingo get blocked, and now he, for a second time, has what he probably wanted to play, galoshed, get blocked by Becky. So he's got to be thinking, oh my gosh, can I get a bingo down at some point here?
Yeah, and not only through that, but she blocked both A's, right? So he could have bingoed through the top A at Aquifer. So yeah, it's been quite interesting that he's been blocked two turns in a row. He could use up his S here and hook aquifers and get a lot of points for that. And he could just play gels. So all relatively common words there, except for aquifer is basically misspelled, but making O and oil. And so that would be actually a lot of points. And DH blank, DH isn't like a normal bingo leaf, but when you have a blank, you can kind of tolerate a lot of leaves because the blank will allow you to bingo really well going forward. And then beyond gels, I guess there's other good plays. That he does have that H for Wara. I'm not sure this is the right time to use it. If he plays gels, he could hook that H.
That is a huge upside of the gels play that you are suggesting, Sam, because Wura, as you were saying earlier, this is an adjective, does not hook with an S. It does hook with an H, which in this position, the H and the blank together, the H is arguably functioning kind of like an S normally would. It's giving you the ability to, whenever you draw a bingo containing an H in it using that blank, it's going to fit here. So the S becomes a little more expendable and the H becomes a better tile to keep, all of which makes me feel like gels is a very, very strong play here. I would say, though, that there is another cool option of geoid right here. If you really want to go crazy, this scores 7 fewer points, but you keep both the S and the H, which really, really improves your ability to get a 7-letter bingo down on a subsequent turn. A lot of different options here. Either of those feel like fantastic choices for Austin. And I feel like if I'm guessing, he's probably identified both of those as options. But knowing Austin and his word knowledge, he's probably spending a little bit of time looking through AR, UN, and AD for really, really amazing 9-letter words that he probably would see if they were available. It just so happens that none of them are. So he's looking hard for those flashy plays, which would be so cool to see. And I do think he's going to default to one or the other of those two options we've identified here.
He's not even that far off from looking through the chi for Ching Hao Su, since he has the GH blank. But in any case, yeah, that's a good point, that he's looking for nines, and which I hadn't thought about. But yeah, in addition to, sevens, maybe through the A, Zuya hooks with an E and L and an S. So he could play something like lag, which would keep perhaps the strongest of bingo leave of any of the plays we've discussed. And like a computer engine thinks gels, GOA, lag, this seems to have them relatively in the same ballpark, along with other plays. So I think anything like that would be fine.
Yeah, agreed. So I do worry a little. I think Austin in general is very comfortable playing at a relatively fast clip, but he spent a lot of time here. So I do feel like it's one of those situations where would a play like Gels even be that much worse than a lot of the bingos that he might be playing, especially through AR or UN? Probably not. Really, the only thing that would be unequivocally better than the play of Gels would be a double through the AD. That seems like, yeah, it would be better. So at a certain point, you kind of have to cut bait and save that time and trust that if you're not seeing anything huge through the AR, UN, and AD, got to save that time for what could easily be similarly difficult decisions later on.
Yeah, and I know there was a bit of a discussion of the time management yesterday morning, like with Wellington. I think you're talking about with Heidi Robertson, how he can use the clock and maybe use it as a weapon, and or he'll speed up, right? If this could be a type of situation. If I'm Becky, I might suspect Austin has the blank if he takes like 7 minutes. He's been taking several minutes, at least 5 minutes on this. This might be a good time to really have your play ready. I mean, you're sitting there, you might as well, got to think of something, right? You got to do something. So kind of try to be ready to go, right? Like, have some of your options ready, like Genii, it's been pointed out at the top of the board. She's got her EIU separated. I wonder if she's thinking of exchanging them, or maybe just because she doesn't, those are the worst 3 tiles. I mean, if she were to exchange, that would be what she would want to exchange, but I don't think that it would be warranted. So, I mean, she doesn't have that many good options, honestly. So she could be idea. That might be what she's thinking. But after Austin thinks for like 7 minutes, I would not want to play idea and open up a huge spot for an S bingo that could go as a double. And also an X hook. Now Austin's finally shuffled. He's finally given up, it looks like, on bingoing. And he's considering gels probably. And it's a good point as well, that if it weren't for those double possibilities, yeah, gels is almost as good as a bingo play, like a 70-pointer.
Yeah, I think just with that, the DH blank combo and the Wura hook is just such it's hard to see that getting blocked almost ever, just because, again, you've got this whole area of the board that's going to be attracting Becky's attention. It feels like she's going to play in that area a huge percentage of the time, leaving you free to land almost all of the 7-letter bingos you could possibly draw with that hook. And even if you somehow can't fit it with that hook, you're pretty likely to play something here anyway. So bingo odds are fantastic. I am curious to see, as you suggest, Sam, is she going to exchange those tiles, or is she going to go ahead and play something to the G? And meanwhile, the DH blank combination for Austin, he just feels so snake bitten. We were talking about it actually off stream that Austin, as phenomenal of a player as he is, appears to just be in a bit of a slump on the stream in terms of his draws and his timing. He just has had a couple of games consecutively on the live stream where it has very little to do with his own play. He's just drawing frustratingly. And this game appears to be starting that way as well, with multiple bingos getting blocked in kind of improbable fashion. And now his chances of bingoing had to have been fantastic, but a terrible draw setting him back. My heart kind of goes out to him here, as Becky does appear to be exchanging. Sam, I think we might slightly favor her playing something here.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Becky as much. I haven't played her as many times, I don't think, as Austin. Becky's from the Austin area, actually. She lives in Austin, Texas, and is retired in the last few years, very involved with the Collins Coalition and organization, has a really good word knowledge. Speaking of word knowledge, there's that H-hook. So Austin making basically the only play that's better than exchanging here was to hook that H onto Wara and play nth, and it's a good way to, get rid of that double H. Yeah, Beck, I would classify that exchange. I feel that's a mistake to exchange there. She could have played Genii for 18 points and kept ERU, and it seems like a lot to sacrifice 18 points there when Genii doesn't really open up anything too worrisome. Or Gurney, even GIRNIE, it's kind of an obscure word, but she probably knows it.
Yeah, those are definitely solid options. I'm not going to sit here and say exchanging EIU was a horrendous error. Definitely wasn't. I think it's kind of, close-ish, a small to medium size inaccuracy. Nothing crazy. Becky is still in decent condition. It feels like with Austin struggling with his draws so much, I feel as if we're talking about his game as if he's somehow getting crushed, he's losing the game, but he's actually in fantastic position here. He's up by 40 points and has the first blank in hand. So on a board that isn't very good to score on for Becky, which when you have the lead, that's a good thing. You don't want your opponent scoring a lot of points. So I do feel like I personally need to pump the brakes a little bit on the doom and gloom for Austin. He's in good shape here, and I'm sure he still feels, despite wishing that he could have gotten some bingos down early, he's doing okay. So on Becky's side, though, I feel like she's got a really cool play here if she thinks of it. On that top part of the board, Sam, a couple different ways to go. You could play off of this G with any number of things, but there is a cool option that I'm curious if she's going to see.
Yeah, good point. I think, Austin's letters have not been worse than Becky's, really. I mean, Austin hasn't had an S. He says the blank. He had the Q and the U together, which scored nicely. So, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, he's kind of gotten unlucky in a certain sense of getting blocked. But, yeah, so Becky, the first thing you want to look at, especially with double N's, is that N hook on Chi, right? And so when I'm looking at this, I say, I'm going to put that N on Chi, make Chin, and then how can I go vertically? So I'm going to start a word with an I or an O, and then, well, what's she doing? She's just playing EN?
Ooh, okay.
No. So this is not a good play. I mean, the problem with this is that she's basically setting up, Austin to make a play on the top row, and now he can hook EN and get extra points, right? So if he goes GE, GR, GH, which he actually has the H, but he doesn't have a word unless he uses his blank. It's probably, it pointed out in the chat, so the play to make was to put her O where she put her E to make arrow, ARO, and then she could have done ion. So ion would have been done like everything she wanted it to.
Yeah.
Hit the triple word, scored way better, and kept her E, which of course is the best vowel for, in general. And as we can see, now she's got another O, and now she can't bingo. Whereas if she had, played ion, she probably, I don't know if it would have fit anywhere, but she would have had a better rack. So yeah, that's tough. Arrow is a new word. Like, it just was added, I think, at the beginning of the year. So it's, with those new words, it can take a long time to kind of see them like reliably, and a lot of practice to see them reliably. So now she's probably going to be able to use the spot for herself because Austin played defund, and now she can hook Rend.
Yeah, Austin played defund, which was pretty solidly his best choice, dumping a bunch of those consonants, the F, both D's, keeping the H, which hend is a word. So this is kind of cool to be able to follow up with a GH play if you're able to draw one. And in fact, he's thinking about playing Ghastly if he doesn't have anything better up there. But of course, Becky is going to beat him to the punch. She is going to play, looks like groin. That seems pretty reasonable. It's between this or groan, and I think groin is significantly more difficult to score well with in this spot. The I really only can take the F in this spot, which both of those are on the board. So placing an I there, way better than the A. If you would replace that, you're looking at a lot of high scoring consonants that now fit under there. So I think that was a savvy choice by Becky. And now Austin has another. I just worry a lot about his time here, Sam. And he has one and only one playable bingo, and it is an extremely difficult find.
Yeah. So I did not know this word. Wow. That's so, yeah. And it's also one of these situations. I mean, he's used up half of his clock, right? He's just at the 12:30 mark. So half of the 25 minutes. And look at the board. I mean, there's more than half of the game to go easily. So, 56 tiles are in the bag. And 7 on his rack too. So yeah, if you don't see a bingo here quickly, I might just say, just put something down. It's not going to be a huge error here to like play something else. He could just drop his Y on that double word with Phi and Yod, and he's going to probably bingo next turn. And that's probably not that. I mean, it is worse for sure. The bingo is the best play, but this is where you kind of want to start, preserving time as much as you can. And the bingo. So new word to me from the N is nathless.
Yeah,
N-A-Y-T-H.
Yeah, nathless. I'm sure it is some kind of extremely archaic form of nevertheless.
Here it comes.
Oh my God, crazy.
Yeah, there's other spellings. So NWL or WoW has had NATHLESS, nathless, which for a while, and so there's a few different spellings of this. This is maybe one of the weirder looking ones for nevertheless. A wonderful find, just showing off his word knowledge and his play finding ability. Becky calmly writing the score down because showing off her word knowledge as well, that she surely knows this word. So I mean, if you can find the word in 2 minutes, then I guess it's worth it.
It is worth noting, though, Sam, that just plopping the Y down here had a lot of merit, right? Like that scores very well. You leave a fantastic bingo leave with an S in it. If you have any doubt of finding a bingo here, just plopping that Y for 30 plus would have been pretty good. And in fact, it would have worked decently here as Becky now has an opportunity to bingo with osteoma. Nice find by her. I'm not sure that would have gone down anywhere prior to Austin's bingo. Not saying that he's somehow wrong to play the bingo, only saying that plopping the Y down by itself was definitely on the table as an option for him there. So players trading bingos here. The fireworks finally coming. Both players getting their first bingo of the game down. But Austin still in decent shape, up by 26 and on turn. But Becky could easily draw something really good here and seize control of the game. Let's see what she plucks from the bag.
Yeah, another close game, at least halfway through. I'm running a simulation. It does seem to, Yod seems just dropping that Y does seem to preferred, which does surprise me because it's a 46-point sacrifice, and it didn't look like there's huge spots to bingo. But so I'm not sure about that. And we would have had a word knowledge check on Wuras because Becky could have, hooked. It's pointed out in the chat that she could have played Osteoma with Wuras had Austin not bingoed. But instead,
I think I know why. I think I know why it likes that, just dropping the Y, Sam. It's because with almost any vowel, like if you draw an A or an E with that leave that Austin would have had, you're getting athletas, altheas, you're getting all kinds of stuff off of this A that score very, very well. But maybe that's, those plays all open the board so widely, whereas Austin's bingo actually doesn't open the board that much. It's kind of a nice way to get your bingo down without opening a ton. It just so happens that Becky had a bingo that wouldn't have otherwise fit, but there were plenty of racks that she could have had that would also not have played after Austin's bingo. So as I think about it more and more, I do kind of like going ahead and playing the bingo while you have it, to say nothing about the practical situation of every turn that you keep the blank is going to leech more and more time off your clock. So you might as well go ahead and play that bingo when you see it, because Austin's time is in a little bit of a dire situation. He is well below half of his clock with about half of the game left to play or more. So yeah, maybe half-ish of the game left. So I'm kind of liking his choice more and more as I think about it.
Yeah, I agree. Practically speaking, like using up 7 letters instead of 1, you're just trying to get to the end. Sometimes when the clock gets low, like that can be a factor. Try to use more tiles because you're so low on time. Yeah, here he has Devout, which would use more tiles, but it's not like a great play. I mean, I think this would just go with just with a lot. Oh no, with Lou and Est. I guess that's fine. I mean, he could have made Wood, WUD, which would have scored better and would have kept Vote, which isn't a terrible leave, but this is fine. Also, he took another 2 minutes to play it. I mean, he doesn't have 2 minutes for every move anymore, right? He's going to have more than like 4 moves to go. So he's going to.
Yeah, there is like a Scrabble axiom, Sam, of like whenever you can play Wood, it's like that's what you should play, right? Like the getting rid of WU is such a high priority. I'm not sure. I mean, it looks kind of nice to play that here. I can't really quibble with Devout that much. It scores 2 fewer points and keeps a lone W, which feels like that can go south for you a little bit more often than keeping the nicely balanced VOET. But again, I think it's really close, and maybe it is just better to play Devout and reach into the bag a little bit harder to try to get that last S and blank. You get some upside there with Austin's choice. So it's far from cut and dry. I could easily see this working out better a lot of the time, and maybe it's just the best play. So meanwhile, Becky, yikes. The good draw that we were postulating was what she needed to seize control of the game hasn't really happened. She did draw the last S, that with the aforementioned final S. So that's really good because now she can sort of reason that this hook is very likely to benefit her. But yeah, tough situation. Oh, look at this. Just key here, setting up ski. I don't know if this is the right play right now, Sam, but I do feel like this has a lot of long-term merit, even if it's not correct, strictly speaking, right now.
Yeah, oh my gosh, true bingo.
Wow.
So Becky has drawn. I just have to say now, this obscure, ridiculous spelling of some word, Aries, Aieries, which is a very useful Scrabble word because, if you have these letters, if you don't know that word, then you're, fishing off some letters for like 10 points or whatever. So yeah, key, going back to the actual decision, I think is it's interesting. I like the creativity of it, to set yourself up. I do think, I think a more patient approach was probably warranted. EEIIS is not going to mature into a bingo very quickly most of the time. But, and Austin, it just gives Austin time to just block it, whereas you could kind of groom your rack with EIK, and get rid of an E, which wasn't, that duplicates wasn't helping you. But yeah, she's rearranging, and as long as I hope she
Oh,
finds
this would
it,
be tragic if she didn't
yeah,
see. Oh no, she was able to connect on her bingo. This crazy play of Aries with all those vowels. Oh my God. It's like she made this sequence manifesting the word. It would be sad for her to not see it here. And I feel like I do worry, as I've been saying, when you don't see that word immediately, the odds with each passing second that you're going to find it. Yes, as you said, Sam, it is possible to sort of, for people that are not like me and have spent hundreds of hours studying the dictionary and I want to see my words instantaneously. Not everybody is like that. Not everybody is as big a nerd as I am, and you need to look at it a little longer. But I'm very worried right now that she's not thinking about that she could possibly have a bingo with all those vowels, and she really could use to play it right here.
Yeah, it even fits nicely, not just hooking osteoma, but actually, yeah, as you're about to draw out there, thanks, with all these nice parallel two-letter words. It was pointed out in the chat she could have done on the last move, oik, O-I-K. Uh-oh, she's missing it. So serious. Yeah, this was kind of her. I mean, this was like the big chance. I mean, she could draw bingo next turn. This game's far from over. But Austin's going to have a big like jam at the minimum, just parallel to osteoma. That's going to score well.
Or jaw.
But that makes Wa.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, but he could do jaw at the top left.
Jaw here.
Fun, but,
yeah.
But it wouldn't score as well.
Yeah, jam looks great. Sorry about that. You're right.
Yeah, but no, I was just thinking, there's a blank left. She almost would have been better to wait to pick it, but she could have been. Oh, the X, that's going to be huge, though. The X is going to give her something big.
Alexines.
Oh my, that's gosh, 120 points or something. I mean, that's a lot. So that's a game changer.
Yeah, that's a huge swing. So jam for 45 coming down for Austin, and Becky, if she spots it, sometimes that's the way it works in Scrabble. Not every mistake actually hurts your winning chances. Of course, drawing X blank will mask a lot. So that's definitely part of it here. But I like Becky's odds of seeing this if she thinks about it. Of course, she is now going to play indexes or, Xines or Rexines or something like that right here. But the extra points for getting the X on this square going across are critical. She can get 116 points here, and that is going to be a gut punch to Austin if she spots it. So big swing here. Will she get 80 points? Almost certainly. Will she get 116 points? We'll find out.
Yeah, she's shuffling. I think she's probably looking in that spot, I'm guessing, but doesn't have it yet.
I hope she's not thinking about Axenites with an E,
gosh.
Sam.
Instead of an I.
Axenites would be a devastating play. Austin is going to challenge that. It is not a valid word. Let's hope she thinks better of it. I feel like that might be what she's considering here, and that she's reaching for the blank slip.
Yeah. And she, Becky does have a really excellent word knowledge. She's, and this is just, it's a tough mistake. Yeah, Austin will challenge this. It's, it's a misspelling. It's unlike aquifer, this word has to be spelled AXINITE, right? So which is some sort of scientific related word. Um, so yeah, she's gonna have another chance to bingo next turn, but now Austin's gonna have a chance to
It
take out that
creates
Alexians. Yeah.
Yeah, this creates a brutal situation for Austin, I might add, because normally, as you can see, he has Weep lined up right here as they're going to adjudicate the word. You're going to see that X. Very tough break for Becky. That was her big chance. Austin would normally play Weep here, Sam, for a great, great score, 44 points. But will he go ahead with that and risk Becky finding her 116-point bingo the second time around? That is a really tricky choice to make. If he decides to block the big 100-point bomb, he is going to have to sacrifice a humongous number of points to do it.
He might honestly just let her have. I mean, the problem is she has like rec signs or rec scenes or indexes, like indexes and jams. That's like 84 points anyway. So, you don't want to sacrifice 20, 30 points to just to save 20, 30 points when she might not see it. She just missed it.
Yeah.
And then there's another A. There's two A's, right? So she could even play it down from the A in Wara. Let's say you block it, you block the bottom left, but you'd want to kind of block everything. So you kind of want to block, like you kind of want to start a word under the ut and kaput, like go horizontal. Well, no, that doesn't block Alexians though. So you could play like Pango and take out a bunch of stuff.
As you say though, Sam, if you're suggesting that she's much likelier to spot her bingos here, maybe a play like that is warranted. You sacrifice a few points, but you reduce her as long as she doesn't spot the massive play. Yeah, you could regret it hugely if you sacrifice, 15 odd points to play here and block indexes and things of that nature. But Austin's going to go ahead and just take his 44 points, which I think that makes the most sense practically. If you give Becky any credit at all to find Alexines, which I feel like she definitely knows that word, I almost feel like if you turned that blank into a real L, she would see it. But because it's a blank, it can sometimes escape your notice. That's definitely what I'm thinking is happening here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm running a simulation with the with her rack specified, and it does. Well, it's quite interesting.
Is there anything you prefer? Yeah, is there some like little play down from the U or something that it might prefer?
No, I guess you could play like unpeg. That's
Yeah.
didn't even show up. Anyway, but you could play. He also could have played Gaupen under the ut and kaput, which would have been a nice play. GOWPEN. But Weep is a good play. I like it. It's practical. There's not that much time, and you just want to put the clock back to her and make her struggle with the same rack that she just. I mean, oftentimes when someone plays a phony, I mean, even if they know the word, they might not see the word. Yeah, and this is exactly that case. I would say it's kind of in my experience, this happens more often. Is they're just not going to see it the second time around. It's you think if they were going to see it, they might have seen it the first time. So she's going to play rec signs or rec scenes, which is her second best play, I think. If you don't see the word elect signs or Alexians.
Yeah, I think this is a play that she's going to be 100% confident in the validity of, which is kind of important psychologically. Once you lose a challenge, you definitely are less likely to go for words that you have any possible doubt in. So Austin, probably not surprised to see this. Guessing that Austin probably was aware of the Alexine's possibility and was just crossing his fingers, hoping to not get hit with all of that extra damage. Let me get both scores updated. I apologize for that. The score is currently, there we go. That's updated. Austin's points for Weep are in there, and then Becky's 85 points for Rexine. So you can see Austin still in very, very good shape here. Moreover, Sam, there are 4 tiles in the bag, so that allows Austin to play 3 tiles through this eye with something like Verl and basically know that he should pretty much be okay almost no matter what.
Yeah, I mean the pool is really weak, and so if you play something like Verl, you know, she just even if she bingoed, it probably wouldn't be enough, and it's very unlikely she would have a bingo. I guess something like Coutil is in there, Coutille, but Verl looks like or maybe he has Bing set up or something. Something like that does seem like a pretty safe play. It seems hard to imagine unless there's some massive bingo like that you're giving up to the triple word, like starting with the L that you put out there, an 8-letter word. It's hard to imagine losing at that point.
Yep. So Bing is the play. Maybe putting this G here is a little bit safer than putting the L after Verl. I feel like those 2 plays are probably pretty close. In general, you would look to shed the V almost no matter what, but might be called for here. And yeah, you can see with 1 tile in the bag, Becky is going to have a very difficult time coming up with anything to even fish for. The board is so stopped up. So yeah, it's going to be Austin's game. He's going to break his streak of tough games on the live stream, although it certainly looked like this one was shaping up to be another frustrating game for Austin. Got to give him huge credit for his find of Natheless with a blank E. That is extremely high level anagramming, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. Kudos and credit to Austin. And also just mention, I'm not sure, Austin, of course, has a lot of experience on these live streams, several years, with the national championship in Collins and many tournaments, World Cup and lots of different tournaments. I'm not sure how often Becky's been on the live stream. I'm sure she's been on before, but, it's nerve-wracking, I think, especially in like your kind of the first game of some of the first times you're on it. And I guess my experience has been, if I've been on a few times at the same tournament, the first or second games, I'm quite nervous to have my play broadcast. And so, it's tough. And I think, for, Austin, you have that advantage of having a lot of experience of it. And once you've been on a few times, I think you settle down more. And so it's, I just want to mention, some of them, like the word knowledge with Axonites. I don't know if she would do that at another non-streamed game. So it's just something to be aware of. But yeah, it's like it's over at this point. I mean, the win loss is decided, and she's gonna hook Joey, which is a nice. Playing like Lay or Bay, it looks like she's going to do. And that's a nice way to score a bunch of points. So that's probably what I would do here as well. That looks like what she's looking at. I mean, you do get back a triple word to Austin. Like he might have Curly, CURLI or something. But
Vitro.
Oh, he's Vitro, yeah. So that's going to score well. So maybe don't use your Y yet. Maybe I mean, it's academic, it's just for spread, right? But, so maybe save your Y in reserve and try to score well elsewhere. I'm not sure what the exact most, optimal is.
I guess you don't technically have to play your Y right now if you're Becky, because that spot is so difficult. It's so unlikely to be blocked or so difficult to be blocked by any kind of productive play by Austin. Your Y also plays here nicely as well. So keeping it, you basically are guaranteed to get a nice play in the end game, whereas this does expose you to something nice. Austin just has his pick essentially of whatever play he wants in that spot, which I feel like Vitro is, or I guess Volti, depending on what the other letters accomplish on the board. He'll be able to figure that out. But yeah, as you say, all academic. I totally agree with your comments about being on stream, and it is something that is a acquired skill for sure. I think back to my first game ever on the stream. It was way back in over a decade ago. I can't remember. I think, well, I do remember exactly. I think it was against Jason Keller, who was doing well at the Nationals. And in particular, what I remember is literally spending 10 minutes early game with a blank on my rack, scared that I was going to miss a bingo in my first ever game on the live stream. It turned out that I did miss a bingo. I missed the bingo of custardy with a blank Y, but the play I made was actually the better simming play anyway. So I wasted 10 minutes of my clock just out of fear of looking stupid, and lost the game due to time pressure later on. So that was a great formative experience for me. And I think it really shows that, it can play tricks on you. You can do things you wouldn't normally do that might, that you would just be aghast at afterwards. At least that's what I felt after my first time on the stream. It's not Becky's first time on stream, but Austin is a veteran who's been on there scores of times at this point. So there is, that to think about as well. But the nice thing, I think, is that every time Becky is going to be on, she's going to get more and more comfortable. And she did make a number of great plays in this game in between some of those moves that we would want to take back for her. And so just didn't go her way in this game, as now she needs to come up with whatever the best end game play that she can find is. It looks like it's Lino right here through the N of Bing, after which Austin is going to have an easy time going out with his UNT.
Yep, well said. I've had similar experiences being streamed. It looks like he missed Vitro, or maybe wasn't sure of it or something, so he played liver, which is fine. I want to say, I'm curious what you think. Well, the suggestion in the chat from earlier, I want to get in on the Nigel glazing, because I'm only doing the Collins commentary, but obviously that's like a big thing. So someone has suggested, now that Nigel, he's 5-time world champion in English, 5 or something time, US North American champion, Spanish, French. So someone said, well, he should just play both divisions at the same time. He could go back and forth, and he'll go walk over the Collins and the WoW. So he'll walk back and forth, and he'll play, he'll play his Collins game and his WoW game simultaneously. What do you think? Do you think we should ask Nigel? Would that be a good challenge for him?
To compete in both divisions simultaneously? Yeah. That would be fun. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of have done that from time to time when I used to stream a little bit more. I would definitely play one lexicon and then switch to the other. So, I don't know how long I will retain that skill. So, Lino, good play, blocking ton, as was pointed out. So now it turns out the best play for Austin is actually tubing for 9 points. If he sees that, kudos to him. Otherwise, there's simpler plays like Rut that will finish the game. But the lexicon thing. And for those asking about Nigel, we do have our plan set. Obviously, the game between Nigel and Joey K, I'm sure, is going to be fantastic. But we're going to get to watch Dave Wiegand, who is a multi-time North American champion, play in his game next. So that is something that we can celebrate as well. I love watching Dave Wiegand play. I've made a couple videos about him, and Nigel is very likely going to be coming at least once and probably several times this afternoon. That's just how we have it broken down. And we definitely expect to show plenty of Nigel. This is a stream for the entire community, and it's fun for players to get to be on stream. So you got to remember, if we show Nigel every time, it means that fewer players get the experience of being on the stream, which I think definitely matters. So I hear everybody's concerns, but that is how we are going to proceed. We're going to stick with Collins in the mornings and WoW in the afternoons, and be flexible on the final day, where we very well may have somebody trying to chase Nigel down in the standings. unless he if he keeps going at this current clip, Sam, he's 9-0 right now. So we need some wow players to continue to chase him down, hand him a few losses, and keep things interesting over there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to do some scoreboard watching. I mean, Joey had a good start yesterday as well. Only, no losses, just one tie. So, there's hopefully some kind of level of competition for him at the tournament.
So Rut to play for Austin, finishing things off. That brings him to a final score of 450 to 383, a much needed win for him. Nobody should be surprised if Austin makes his way into the top of the standings. He really is pretty relentless. As I mentioned, very difficult to get off his game with bad drawing or bad timing or anything like that. So an interesting game here between these two. Couple missed opportunities you could point to for Becky. But yeah, we'll have one more game coming up shortly.